Once upon a time, a person who was having trouble controlling his emotions went to Gautam Buddha for guidance. He was filled with resentment and irritation and was looking for a means to better control his emotions. Buddha grinned and motioned for him to take a seat. He then said, "I'll tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a king who oversaw a prosperous country. One day, he decided to visit the neighboring kingdom because he had heard that the king of that kingdom was renowned for his wisdom. When the king arrived, he was welcomed with great honor. The neighboring kingdom's king had prepared a grand feast in his honor. The neighboring kingdom's king grinned and said, "Your Majesty, allow me to give you some advice. It was not the fly that made you mad, it was how you reacted to it. You have the ability to manage your emotions, do not allow them to overpower you." The king understood the wisdom of these remarks and went back to his realm. He then began practicing the art of not reacting to events that would typically set off his emotions. He discovered that he could keep his cool under pressure and was capable of making wiser choices. We can all learn a lot from the power of not reacting because we frequently act without thinking, which might have unfavorable effects. It's crucial to recognize that not reacting does not mean that we should hide our feelings. Reacting to events with anger and fury can harm our relationships with others and impair our capacity for rational decision-making. In another part of the world, there lived a young man named Michael who was very emotional and frequently reacted impulsively to situations that upset him. He would get angry and say hurtful things, which would lead to arguments and hurt feelings. Emotions are a natural part of our human experience, and it is important to acknowledge them instead of reacting impulsively. We should take the time to process them and respond in a thoughtful manner. When Michael realized that his impulsive responses were hurting him more than they were helping him, he made the decision to learn how to control his emotions. He began practicing mindfulness and meditation, which helped him become more aware of his thoughts and emotions. He also began practicing the art of not reacting. Whenever he was in a situation that would typically set off his emotions, he would take a step back and take a few deep breaths. Michael also observed that his connections with others improved. He was able to communicate in a calm and kind way, which enabled him to forge better bonds with others rather than getting into conflicts and hurting their feelings. One day, Michael's friend approached him seeking guidance since he was going through a trying time and was feeling quite upset. Michael listened to his friend's issues and offered words of consolation and encouragement. His friend thanked him and remarked that Michael always knew the right thing to say and that he never became irate or agitated. "It's not that I never feel angry or irritated," Michael said, "rather, I've learned to regulate my emotions and not allow them dominate me. This is a wonderful skill that has helped me improve my relationships and general well-being." Michael's acquaintance was impressed and inquired as to how he had developed emotional restraint. Michael urged his friend to try out mindfulness and the power of not responding after sharing his own experience with it. Over time, the friend became appreciative of the advice Michael had given. The power of not reacting is a valuable lesson that we can all learn from. It takes practice and patience, but the rewards are well worth it by controlling our emotions. Michael became known for his calm and thoughtful demeanor. He was able to handle challenging situations with ease and people admired him for his strength and resilience. He continued to practice mindfulness and the art of not reacting. Let's take the time to practice and develop this great ability so that it can improve our general quality of life and our well-being. As long as resentment is treasured in the mind, anger will not go away. However, as soon as resentment is gone, fury will vanish. He who holds back anger building like a rolling chariot, here my call is being driven by a genuine driver while others hold the wheel. The equivalent of ingesting poison and expecting the other person to perish is hanging on to anger. On the battlefield, one who successfully conquers themselves is superior to another who successfully conquers 1,000 times as many times. Instead of following your responses, follow your actions. The moment we feel anger, we have already stopped seeking the truth and have started seeking our own happiness. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. You will not be punished for your anger, rather, your anger will punish you. We can only be free if we let go of whatever that is holding us back in our hearts, whether it be anger, anxiety, or material goods. Being free is the sole requirement for pleasure. Hollow words is a word that brings calm because all we are is the outcome of our thoughts. Respond without retaliation and do so rationally. In the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things that weren't meant for you. A person who understands the unity of life sees himself in all other people and all other people in himself, and he views everything objectively. Happiness never decreases when it is shared. We are shaped by our thoughts, we become what we think. Avoid dwelling on the past or the future. Instead, focus on the present. Three things cannot be kept a secret for long. The mind is everything what you think you become. It is a man's own mind, not an enemy or foe, that lures him into evil ways. An idea that is developed and put into practice is more significant than an idea that exists only as an idea. The sun, the moon, and the truth. The only way to find true happiness is to let go of your attachment to things and people. There is no flame like ardor, no shark like enmity, no trap like folly, and no flood like avarice. If you want to fly, you must let go of what is holding you down. If you want to change the world, start by changing yourself. Happiness is not something that is pre-made, it comes from your own actions. The problem is that you think you have time. The mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything is clear. The tone is like a sharp knife. Hills that do not seek what they sought do not attempt to follow in the footsteps of the wise. If we didn't learn much today, at least we learned something. And if we learned something, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. The only real failure in life is to not be true to the best one knows. The past is already past, the future is not yet here, and there is only one moment for you to live. Being idle is the definition of impurity. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, you'll know when you find it. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when. Whatever a monk keeps pursuing with his thinking and pondering, that becomes the inclination of his awareness. Do not dwell on the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment.